Welcome in, everyone. Today, we're going to dive into something I don't know about you, but a little unnerving to me at least. Beliefs.
Ah, yes.
How much of what we believe is actually true? Like really true.
Right.
We're working with some writing today from David Gerteen.
Yeah,
He's a leader in what's called conversational leadership. Heard of it?
definitely. Definitely. Yeah, using dialogue to kind of work through those difficult topics. And he really picks a big one right off the bat here.
Yeah, and he does not sugarcoat it, I'll tell you that. He just comes right out and says it. Most of what we know is basically a delusion.
Yeah.
Because we're more influenced by, like, who we trust than the actual evidence.
Right.
Does that make you feel a little uncomfortable?
Well, it's the classic cognitive biases
Yeah.
that behavioral science is really starting to unpack these days. We develop a lot of our core beliefs when we're really young.
Totally.
And we don't have all the information.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, but it's not always accurate.
Yeah.
Right.
We inherit these, like, mental shortcuts from, our families where we grew up. It makes it hard to have, like, good conversations sometimes.
Yeah, it can lead to that polarization, right?
Yeah.
Where you just can't
Exactly.
find common ground.
And guess what? We got big problems to solve.
That's right. That's right.
This is a big deal.
Yeah. Which is where I think this idea of conversational leadership that Gerteen really pushes is so important, right? Moving away from this idea of being right to this understanding of how do we come together? How do we build some shared understanding around some of these really complex issues?
Yeah. Our egos don't always love that, though.
No, they don't.
We are wired to defend what we believe in,
We all.
even when it's wrong. Our brains don't like to be wrong.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. Our brains are always trying to make sense of things.
Right.
We're always trying to create order out of chaos. And so they come up with these narratives. We build these mental models. But the problem is sometimes we become so attached to those models that even in the face of new information, we don't update them.
It's like we're stuck in these echo chambers, and
Good.
so how do we bridge those divides? It's
Yeah.
like we're all walking around with our own maps, right?
Yeah,
And we think our map is the map.
that's it.
But what if they're all a little off?
Yeah. And that's where you get Gerteen bringing in Yuval Noah Harari. Right. Harari says the greatest discovery of humankind wasn't fire or the wheel.
Right.
It was realizing how much we don't know.
But see, that's the thing. To admit you don't know, that's kind of hard.
Yeah.
Like, how do we get to these impossible conversations if we're starting from, I don't know, it seems backwards.
But it's not embracing ignorance.
Okay.
It's realizing that not knowing isn't a weakness, it's an opportunity.
So instead of digging in, it's more like, maybe I haven't thought about it that way.
Exactly. Being open to revising your map, that's huge for good dialogue. And Gerteen's got these, get this, 7 preconditions for impossible conversations.
7. Okay, so it's doable. Like, we can break this down.
Absolutely.
What are some of the big ones to start with?
Well, we were just talking about how much people hate being wrong, right?
Yeah.
Gerteen says you got to be willing to not just question what you believe,
Right.
but be ready to actually change your mind if you get new info.
Ooh, now that's hard. Like, nobody wants to admit defeat, even to themselves.
But it's not defeat. It's like upgrading your phone.
Oh.
You don't keep that old software. You want the new stuff.
Okay, I like that.
So revising what you believe in, it's like becoming a better version of you.
Right.
And Gerteen doesn't pretend it's easy. He even quotes this other guy, David Krillman.
Okay.
And Krillman said people love the idea of others changing their minds,
Right.
but to do it themselves, not so much.
Oof. Yeah. It's always easier to see the flaws in other people.
Bias in action, right?
Yeah.
But just knowing we all do that is a good first step. Makes it a little more humble, less judgmental.
So less, you're wrong, I'm right, and more like, let's figure this out together.
Exactly. And that takes us to another big one, assuming good faith.
Assuming good faith? I don't know these days. It's easy to just assume the worst about someone, especially online, if you disagree.
Right. It's like everyone online is just out to prove the other wrong.
Yeah.
But Gerteen says even when we disagree, most people are coming from a good place, right? It's about remembering we're all human.
Like, everyone's got their own thing going on that we don't know about.
Exactly. So what if instead of attack, we try to understand why someone thinks what they do?
Get curious about the why, not just the what.
Exactly. That takes us outside that echo chamber, right?
Yep.
You got to actively look for opinions that are different from your own.
That's tough, though. It's so much easier to stick with what we already know.
It is. It is. But that's what Gertin means by impossible conversations. He's
Hmm.
not saying it's actually impossible, just that it's hard work worth doing.
It's like, yeah, this is gonna be awkward, but maybe, just maybe, we'll understand each other better at the end of it.
That's it. And when we can do that, that's how we grow.
This has been amazing. This whole idea of how much our beliefs shape us, how not knowing is okay, and especially those 7 steps, super helpful. So, if someone's listening, what's the one thing they got to remember from all of this?
I think it's that what you believe isn't who you are. It's more like a story you tell yourself about the world.
Okay.
And like any story, it can change as you learn new things. So be open to that. Question things, talk to people who are different from you, and don't be scared to let your beliefs grow with you.
Fantastic stuff. We'll be back next time with another deep dive. Until then, keep those conversations going, folks.